I co-facilitate this program we have each week, Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific. It's called Our Healing Choices. Um, I say I co-facilitate this because everybody has a floor here. We all learn from each other. One of the great things is that whatever the topic is for the week, we get to speak what we know about it, share and enlighten others, and then or listen in and just learn something we might not already know about a topic. Um, so without further ado, the topic of the week is week 131. We have are our shoulds necessary? We're going to go over basically what's the meaning of the word should, going around the room sharing how we should on others, how they should be, what they should do, what so on and so forth. Are our shoulds necessary? Of course. Are our shoulds healthy? And for instance, we suffer when we want things and people to be different than what they are, when we argue with reality, when we think that people should do something the way we expect when they're not, when we think that someone should have done something differently in the past, when we expect our significant other should be something other than what they are, when we expect our significant other should do something other than what they do. And maybe we can communicate our expectations, practice that, maybe talk about that. And then last but not least, are our shoulds necessary for ourselves? So the floor is yours when you have something to share on this. Does anyone have any questions about this? This might be a little bit difficult of a topic, but what comes up for you? What are your questions? What are your thoughts? Actually, there are multiple definitions, versions of the definition of should, it looks like. But I'll go with this first one to start. It says it's a verb used to indicate obligation, duty, or correctness, typically when criticizing someone's actions. He should have been careful. And sub definitions of that, indicating a desirable or expected state. By now, students should be able to read with a large degree of independence. Used to give or ask advice or suggestions. In other words, you should go back to bed. Basically used to give advice. I should hold out. I should hold out if I were you. Okay. There's some more here, but I think those were the main ones.
Hey, what's going on here, room?
Not much, Matt. Just listening to crickets. That's all. They're wonderful crickets, but I'm just listening to them right now. How you doing tonight?
Hey everyone.
I'm pretty good, pretty good.
Good to hear, man. Anything new and interesting happening with you?
Well, my boyfriend and I broke up, but then I found another one.
Okay, that's positive, right? Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Yeah, so just started talking about the topic of the night. Are shoulds necessary? And I think this is one of those difficult ones. So like I say, I'm hearing crickets right now, and that could change over the course of the program, but it is what it is. So the idea is that when we should on others, we're saying basically they should be different than what they are. They should do this. They should be doing this, or they should have done that. Something in the past that you're disappointed in them about. So this whole idea of shoulding on others is basically, the idea is that it basically causes suffering in us. The more we have expectations of others where they should be a certain way that we expect and they're not. So here's one quote that kind of jives with that. It says, insanity is arguing with reality. That one's by Byron Katie. She's a good teacher in this area for sure.
Well, I think I can actually sort of relate to this question because, ironically, my ex-boyfriend was, sort of like this person who liked to, do things that his parents didn't want him doing, like, for example, smoking. Um, and, I did change him a little bit, but it's like he doesn't care what he doesn't care. It's just crazy. But anyway.
Any untrusted users, if you'd like to be part of the program or part of the Ring of Fire, go ahead and click on the Ring of Fire logo just below the Z in the upper left corner of your app. And anyway, click on the logo for the program, and you'll be able to see the rules of the channel. Go ahead and read that and read me back, or one of the moderators, since only we can hear you. Just read us back just two or three of those that you remember, and we'll be happy to get you trusted in. So Matt, the reality of it is that your friend is a smoker and doesn't necessarily want to stop smoking. The person who suffers is the one who always expects him to not be smoking, and therefore suffers because he doesn't change. In other words, they're arguing with reality. The reality of it is that he's not stopping smoking. And so when we have this, when we think that people should be a different way, they should stop smoking for themselves or whatever, we keep doing that. And every time we do that, not only are we trying to control what's not necessarily able to be controlled, but we suffer in the process. So I think we all do it a lot, and I think maybe we could bring out some examples tonight of people in the way they do that with others. I think we all do it to a certain extent. We should on others. We expect others to be something different than what they are. And unfortunately, it only falls back on us and creates us suffering. So does anyone else have any examples of how they're expecting others to be different than who they are or what they are, having expectations of others, and oh, they should have done that. If you think of it like right now, like think of one person that's difficult in your life, and think of how you think that they should be different than what they are. And we could probably start there. What are your expectations of them?
What I'm getting at is, I basically his parents came to the house and he was finishing up smoking, and then he got caught, and then they got mad at him, and I all I said to him was, look, like, your parents may not see what you're doing, but God sees what you're doing. And he's like, I don't give a shit. It's like, what the heck is wrong here? I'm trying to be here for you. I'm trying to support you and, help you.
Okay, guys, welcome K33P to the channel. K33, we're in the middle of a program. We'd be welcome to, nice to have your input. If you have any thoughts on the topic, maybe introduce yourself real quick and just let us know your name, and we can get going. Continue with the program. But welcome to the Ring of Fire. I'm sure you're going to like it here. So Matt, in your example, basically the whole idea of this is that when we have this expectation that people do something different than what we expect, we suffer. So they could be completely happy smoking or doing whatever they're doing that bothers us, but the ones that suffer is us, the ones that think that they should be doing something that other than what they are actually doing, the reality. So it's like it's a fine line. Trying to change people causes us, all of us, great suffering, because we're trying to change something that either can't or doesn't want to be changed. So yeah, I mean, there's this whole idea of leading by example. But if someone doesn't want to follow your example, then in my thought is just remove the word should from your vocabulary, at least when it pertains to others. Because if we continue down that road and we're continually thinking or even saying that someone should stop smoking or should stop, I don't know, bothering us, or should stop whatever it might be doing that's disappointing us, we're going to continue to suffer. So it's when we stop shooting on others and having expectations of others is when things start to heal, things start to get better. I understand this is a little bit of a tricky one to wrap our heads around, but it's so essential, I think.
Well, I'm Trust. I mean, you can call me Trust or Purple, whichever one. I'm 21, and I just saw this on the trending list and decided to come in.
Well, welcome to the channel. Um, where are you from?
Virginia.
Hey, do you by chance know how to change your volume in your app, your microphone gain? Can't hear you that well. Your volume's a little low, so instead of having everybody else turn your volume up, you could do us a favor and just turn your microphone gain up.
Can you hear me now? Yes, no, maybe.
A little bit better. Just keep speaking closer to your phone or your mic. You're good. So maybe we can try again. Who else in our life, who in your life is causing you strain, or is annoying you, or is a problem for you, and look at how you think they should be, and maybe you could just share like, oh, I wish this person was this way, or I wish they would stop doing this, or I wish they would not do that. And maybe we could start there, because that right there is basically an expectation of others, and one way that we would be arguing with reality and causing ourselves suffering. Anyone want to start? We all have a problem child in our life, right? You don't have to name names, maybe you could just mention the situation and we can work with that.
Yeah, myself.
Welcome, David. How you doing tonight, brother? When you say "yeah, myself," what exactly do you mean by that?
Sorry, I was just trying to adjust my microphone there, but yeah. Uh, I don't know. I'm getting a little better now, but man, I tell you, some years back, okay, I'm stretching a little far there. Some months back, uh, I was a problem child. Man, drank all the time, and I don't know, went partying all the time. And geez, 34 years old. It's time to stop all that. I'm still working though. Pretty much, pretty much all. I get up before the sun does, and I get off work after the sun goes down. But on weekends, boy, I was plastered.
So let me guess. You were that guy that everybody else thought should be different than who you were, and you were probably causing a lot of people a bunch of suffering because they wanted you to be okay and healthy and happy or whatever it might be, and you weren't. So you had a lot of people arguing with reality and maybe suffering a little bit over it. Sounds like you've helped them out a lot. Recent times, at least. A couple years, 3 months back.
You like that, did you? Uh, no, I've been kind of off and on, and mainly it's, I don't know, um, man, I don't know, just crazy stuff happening throughout my life, and it's been pretty laid back here for a while. I'm getting a little better dealing with everything. It's just, I just don't like people in general. I'm fine with stuff like this and, one-on-one or just a few people. But, man, when it gets to be a lot, it drives me up the wall. I used to run an e-cigarette store in Wichita, Kansas. And, man, you talking about crazy, the people there, and I don't know, dealing with the people that I worked with and around at the store. Oh, geez, that was horrible.
Let me guess, you were wishing they were something other than what they are. Basically, there's a lot of people in your work that were just annoying the hell out of you, and they were just being themselves. They're just, flapping their wings, doing jumping jacks, whatever they do to be them, and you didn't like that. That was basically something that just didn't fly with you. Am I right? Am I kind of getting somewhere with this? I don't know. We tend to get annoyed and suffer and irk and not feel good when people are doing something different than what we want that's comfortable with us. So I think, like I say, I think when we remove this whole word should, how people should be, and lower our expectations or remove our expectations completely of how people should be based on how we live our life and how we are and what is acceptable to us, then I think we let ourselves free of a lot of suffering ourselves, and we might even be a little bit more likable to others because we're not annoyed with them as much. It's a crazy concept, but it's definitely something that could work. Okay, maybe it's not so crazy of a concept.
Well, it's kind of funny. Me and the owner was, I don't know, I wouldn't say best friends, but we're pretty dang good together. You know what? The way we ran the store was, we were pretty fluid together. Well, his wife, on the other hand, was bipolar, psychotic. All this crap. She'd come in and all of a sudden her attitude would change. The customers would try to say, "Hi, how are you, Sherry?" And she just would ignore them or whatever. She threw a chair one time, hit me in the back of the leg, and man, I was getting mad. We always ate on the table back there in the back. And one day I came back there, and she came back. I was opening the store, and she had I had chips back there. She came in and just started yelling and bitching about me having the chips back there. It's like, you crazy woman. Every time we order something to eat, you bring the food back here on this table and set it down. Just the night before she did that, and it drove me nuts. Everyday occurrence. Just people in general. I don't know. I'm good by myself.
Tough when you have those people around. Those are definite, like, they're like challenges. I would almost even say those people are like our teachers because they force us to grow and deal. You know, 9 times out of 10, when we expect others to be different than who they are, we're not seeing the 3 fingers pointing back at us that says that's pointing to us. It's saying we're not communicating to them what we expect of them. So they're going to continue to disappoint us. We're going to continue to say, you should be doing this the way I expect. But the reality of it is we fail to communicate our expectations to them. So they're failing us. They're disappointing us, and they don't even know why. And so in a sense, it's really on us because we're doing them a disservice by not telling them why they're pissing us off. And again, some of us do it, but we do it after the fact. We do it in an angry way when it's happening, and when it's pissing us off, it's what we do it then, and they don't listen to that. It's like we're like what is it? Charlie Brown's teacher. Wow, 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 wow. You know, we're just complaining to them. It's just like complaining or something. But it's the fact that we don't like communicate our expectation of them when it's not that situation that's pissing us off. You know, we don't take the time to just do that. I don't know. It's weird. It's like some of the things that happen to us in our life. It's, you know, not just the other person. The problem is we're always there. So if it's happening in our life, the reality of it is that we're always there. We're the common denominator. So if our life isn't going not necessarily as well as we like, it's usually us. So I'm not saying it's you necessarily. If you have a lot of people like that in your life, it's a definite challenge. But you got to look at yourself and figure out, how am I contributing to this?
Oh yeah, that's certainly true. You're right. I mean, really, which I have. You really need to learn how to be a little more acquiescent with people like that. You know, just, I don't know. Yeah, it drove me up the wall, whatever. And I wouldn't, you know, I'd be like, okay, it's probably just smart. You know, this is the owner's wife. It's probably just smart to sit over here, shut up, and keep my mouth closed, you know, or anybody throughout the day. I try to keep my mouth closed, but whenever you deal with them day in, day out, and you keep going, man, it builds up. And with me, you know, I'll keep my mouth shut, and I can take surprisingly a lot for the things that I've done and the things that I've been through in my life. You wouldn't think that I would be able to hold my temper that long, but one day I don't even see it coming, man. It's like a just absolute boom. Then it just bomb goes off, and next thing I know, everything's crashing around beside me, and I'm going to some place that I don't like, unfortunately. And it just, I don't know, it's all bad. It's just people just bottle it up, hold it in, keep quiet until it just explodes. And I don't know. I'm afraid to be around anybody because I don't ever know when that's going to happen.
Dude, you make a seriously good point. It's so effing true that that's what happens. you know, you hit the nail right on the head. Like people, they don't want to speak up. People annoy them. And now in your case, especially, you've got the boss's wife or something like this. I forget what you said. Even more so, you don't want to speak up and tell them like, you know, hey, you're bothering me, and this is why. Can you work on that? Or you know, like if we don't communicate that shit to people, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because you know, if you could, at least if you communicate it to them and say, hey, by the way, this bothers me, then maybe they can know, oh, thanks for letting me know. I'll try to, you know, be better at that, or, you know, I don't know, not do that, or do that if it's smoking, doing it outside, or whatever it might be, like that you're not comfortable with. But like, yeah, if we hold it inside, of course we're just gonna keep it inside, and when we blow up, it's not really, people are like surprised, they're like shocked, like where did this come from, right? But it's because we've been keeping it inside, and we're afraid to, you know, tell them why they're bothering us, and they're just irking us to no end, and then at some point we just blow up. And there's a lot of people that do that. So maybe, David, if you correct that in yourself, you then are giving others permission to correct it in themselves. And maybe you could even detect it when that shit happens in others, when you sense that, because you know what it feels like. We all know what it feels like. You know, you could probably detect it in others, and maybe pass on some basic tools that we talked about tonight, that we're talking about tonight, and maybe help a brother out or a sister, you know, that may be struggling with that too. You know, we don't have to feel like we can't trust people, or that people are that are going to blow up, or they're out to get us, or you know, they're going to go postal or whatever. I think if we're a light for them, you know, and care enough about them, you know, then that will be reciprocated, I would think, you know. In other words, they're not going to go postal on us, maybe. They might go postal on everybody else, but they might not go postal on us, because we helped them.
Yeah, I got you there. You know, it's funny you say that. I tell everybody that, like whenever I hire a new person, I run one of the crews for my cedar clearing gig I got going here. It's not mine, I mean, you know, for the boss, but he sits over there in the office and does some kind of investment, whatever. I don't know. He's up there over $1 billion now. He's bragging about that he takes.
Hey, David, sorry to cut you off, brother. I can't hear you. Is anyone else having problems hearing David? It seems like your volume dropped, or you got further away from your mic, from your phone. Can't hear you at all. A little bit.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing. I can barely hear him.
It was me. Yeah, I was trying to key back up and tell you I was just washed my hands, and I didn't get a chance to dry them off before I started talking again. And I had to blow the water out of the microphone.
That would explain that. By the way, that's the sound of water in a microphone or something. In a phone microphone, sounds like.
Yeah, you can't talk very good through water. No, what I was saying was what I just told you. You know, like I said, I run a 3-man crew, sometimes 4, depending on the job. And the job usually lasts a couple weeks, up to 3 or 4 months, 5 months. I mean, we clear a lot of land, cedar clearing. I'm the one that sits on the bobcat all day. I got one guy that runs a chainsaw, and the 2 others stack the, you know, bless their little hearts, stack the all the stuff that we cut and push down, everything else, stack the piles for me so I can go take it and make a bigger pile and bonfire later or whatever else. Well, that's what I always tell everybody. But, you know, here's something that they're doing something wrong. It don't happen much, but whatever the case may be, you know, after I hear it 3 or 4 times, you know, I'll tell them, look, man, you know, that's just don't do that here or whatever, you know, and I don't have to say that very much. Not much bothers me. But I'll tell them, it won't bother me for a while, but I'll sit here and listen to it, and one of these days I'm going to be having a bad day or whatever, and I don't want to hear that shit, and I'm going to blow up on you, and it's, that's whatever happens in that next 10 seconds is your bad, because I'm warning you right now. And everybody just kind of laughs. They're like, oh, yeah, he's not playing. So that's, I let everybody know, and I'm always willing to talk to anybody. Hell, everybody needs help with something.
That's cool, man. It's so important to be open for people to talk to, because some people, like, that's all they need is someone to talk to. It's a cool way to be.
So, not to change the subject or anything, but which I'm going to. Who else out there? Like I said, this is really my second night together. I was on there last night for a little while, but I got so damn tired. I took a shower and came back on for like 2 minutes and passed out, phone in hand. Who else out there? I mean, give me a shout out. Second night here. My name's David. Give me a holler back.
David, I just had a question. What type of phone do you have?
I can't remember the specifics on it. It's a little ran over, crunched up, whatever. Surprisingly, the screen's not broken, but it is. I can set it down on the ground, and it kind of makes like a rocking horse type of thing now. It used to be flat. Now it's kind of.
Okay, well, I was going to say, if it was like a smartphone, like an iPhone, um, I this is totally going off topic, but there is an iPhone that actually can survive water. It's the new iPhone 7, I believe.
No, thank you. I would have the Samsung 7. That's the one that survives water. That's the one that you see them walking and the guy juggling it across the city and all that, and down through the house, and then he gets to the backyard and falls right in front of a garden hose, or there's another one where this one person throws it in the fountain or something like that. Yeah, I would never have an iPhone again. Oh my God. No, just a little block sitting there doing nothing. You can't do nothing with your home screen. You just get a bunch of blocks to look at. No, absolutely not. Hated it. Had one for a while, liked it. And after my sister brought me a Samsung, I'm a computer tech for years. So everybody brings me stuff to do. After that, I saw her phone, and it was raining in the background because it was calling for rain that day in Wichita, Kansas. And I'm programming her phone so she can use it. I'm like, what the heck is this? And there's stuff moving in the background, windmills and all this. I was like, oh, hell no. I went and threw my iPhone underneath the lawnmower and got me a Galaxy. Just seems like a Android is so much fancier.
Sorry, didn't mean to get off topic there.
I drew that Galaxy loyalist right here, man. They're definitely much more capable, I think, and always ahead of the curve, so to speak. They come up with something, and then 2 years later, Apple says, "Oh yeah, by the way, now we have 4K, 4K video," woohoo, as if it's something completely new. And then they have, "Oh yeah, we have waterproof phone," as if it's something completely new. I mean, 2 years ago, Samsung had a waterproof phone. Over that, I think. Anyway, getting back on topic. Yeah, I don't know. Does anyone else have any difficult people in their lives? Uh, any difficult person or situation? That would be a good place to start with this topic, I think. Here's a quote to start this one off a little bit. It says, arguing with reality is like trying to teach a cat to bark. Again, that's another one by Byron Katie. Good teacher. Byron Katie, by the way, is a woman. Byron Katie, Katie.
Ooh, boy. You don't want to get me started on that subject, because I do have someone, I mean, absolutely crazy, out of their mind. It's a medical condition, clogged vessel in the brain, all this. I mean, but that's a big, weird, horrible story. And but I'll go ahead and let somebody else jump in on this one.
Yeah, we'll let that one be a backup, right? Truly.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and save that one for next week's show.
Yeah, that'll be definitely drop a bomb on that show for sure. I got to think. I'm not seeing what next week's show is right now. I'm not looking at it. We've got like a lineup of 2 more programs. I got to post that for sure.
Woo, boy. Tune in next week, because whenever David tells this story, the ratings might go through the roof.
I mean, look, we have shoulds. We should on people all the time. We have expectations of them all the time. There's a factor of shoulding on ourselves. I mean, I should have a new car. I don't, but I should have a new car, or at least a newer car. I think those shoulds are good, man. Like those expectations of yourself, push you to do more. To be more, to be better. But this whole idea of us expecting others to be different is a form, almost like a form of insanity. Always expecting others to be different and them always disappointing us and us getting pissed off is just not cool. It's not good for us. It's not healthy.
Yeah, that's true. Woo, from now on, guys, if you get craving a pickle or anything like that, and you pay attention to other things, reach inside the refrigerator and grab the wrong jar of habaneros instead of your jar of pickles and put like 3 or 4 in your mouth and start chewing on them. Be sure and pay attention to stuff like that. Whew.
LOL. Dave's gonna be MIA in a second. Oh, that's funny. I did that when I was a kid. Apparently, I got into, someone put some hot chili peppers on the counter during a party, and I was like probably like maybe 3 or 4 years old, just old enough to like put my hands up on the counter and like grab some things from the edge of the counter and eat them. And they were like the hottest chili peppers ever, and I was like bawling, crying for like 3 hours. Apparently, crazy. I apparently don't remember that at all, probably for a good reason, but it was just everybody was feeling the pain. I was crying like crazy.
How's everybody doing on Ring of Fire today?
Pretty good, Carrie. How you doing? How's your day going? We're just about midway through a program, Our Healing Choices. We are generally talking about expectations and shoulding on others, essentially. Like, how would you put it? She should be this way. He should have done that. Yeah, trying to control what's not meant to be controlled, aka arguing with reality. That's what we're talking about tonight. So anyway, hope you're having a good day.
I am.
So let's think about people in our lives that we want to be different than what they actually are. I have one person in my life that eats a lot of candy, and I know about candy, and I know about excess amounts of candy and what it can do, but this person really loves candy. So I just, my should is that you shouldn't be eating that much candy. But the reality is that they are eating that much candy, and they're like a candy holic, practically. So I have to basically let go and be like, so I don't suffer. Like me always, wanting that to be different than what it is causing me to suffer. They're just enjoying the candy, and yeah, it's just this idea of trying to make people different than what they are without telling them. Like, we're not even telling them how we think they should be. They're disappointing us left and right, and we haven't even told them yet our expectation. It's really the biggest trap in not history, but it's like a huge trap that we find ourselves in. I think a lot of problems would be gone if we just knew this one thing. I have a person in my life that always calls on me for help, right? Just always needs help with stuff. And my should is that you should, be able to, get yourself help, like help yourself. But they always need my help, and that's okay, to a certain extent, that's okay. But it happens a lot. So I end up being disappointed in them because I feel like they should be able to do more on their own, and they're not. And so it is what it is, I guess. I mean, really, in a way, it kind of falls back on me, not communicating the expectation, like, hey, maybe you could try to do everything you can for yourself first, maybe ask some other people, see if they can help you. And if all else fails and you've learned everything you can and you still can't do it, talk to me. I'll help you out. At least then you'll have a little bit more understanding, let's say, of what what we're talking about, or what I'm going to help you with, or whatever it might be. So I don't know. I just I feel like in the end it comes back to us. When we're trying to change people, it always comes back to us. How are we not telling them what we expect of them? Because that's what's causing the disappointment right there. If we communicated our expectations of others every time we were disappointed, without getting angry, they might actually hear it, and they might actually have a chance to compromise and change. There's another one by Byron Katie. Her name came up a lot when I was doing some research for this program. This quote says, "I am a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality."
I've got one for you. Huh. It's, I don't know. Heard a friend of mine say it years ago and kind of stuck with me. And I don't know, after a while, I got to thinking about it. And like I said, some of the things I dealt with in my life and dealing with now. And I don't know, I think it's actually, I don't know, seems a little more valid than it did when I first heard it. But it's funny, it's kind of your name too. But talk about reality. A lot of people say, well, you got to have hope, or you got to do this, or, whatever. Hope is a denial of reality. Still, I'm a little bit more on the fence now than I was. Back then I was like, no, that's bullshit. Now it's like, I don't know. I'm looking at it a little bit, a little bit. I'm being a little bit more thorough with that saying now, thinking about it a lot.
This is a good point you make about hope. I thought a lot about hope, and one of the things that came up in the past for me that kind of was negative was this whole idea of, I hope that. Like, I hope that this will happen is kind of like a prayer without any action. Like, I hope that I win the lottery, right? There's no action involved. It's just this hope, like it's going to happen, and it has to be just complete, what do they call it, destiny, that it's going to happen. That there's nothing you can do to make it happen. Seems kind of like not hopeful. So I hope that, and I think there was another one. I'm going to blank on what it is now, but I like the word better, hopefulness, is that has hopefulness, meaning what you just saw or what you just did or that smile from that person in the street gave you a sense of hope or hopefulness. And I don't know how to word it right other than hopefulness, but like it is what it is. Hope is different for each person, and I like this saying, like, hope is a denial of reality. The traditional sense of hope is that it's kind of like a prayer and there's no action involved. So that, in that case, this quote that you gave me, hope is a denial of reality, that's totally true. But this idea of hopefulness and seeing hope in the world, seeing like inspiring things in the world that make you want to be a better person, that's a different version of hope altogether. But it's still the same word in a sense. So I don't know. Good one.
Yeah, whether one has hope or not, it's, whatever's going to happen happens, whether you have hope or not. Having hope is just, I don't know. To me, it's that saying, "Give your hopes up." That's there's quite a bit of validity behind that because, man, um, have hope for something, whatever. You're constantly thinking about it, and it's just get yourself worked up for it, and all of a sudden, whatever you want to happen or whatever you want, you don't get or it doesn't happen, and all of a sudden now you feel like crap. And man, it's makes it harder on you. So, I don't know. There's been one time, man, I hope somebody goes over and beat that guy's ass. Well, it was me, and I did about 6 months, and wound up being me that did it. And that's not the kind of hope I was really wanting, but it's a lot of people hope for things that they have no control over, and some people hope for things that they do have control over. Like, man, it's kind of dumb. I don't know. I hope I throw that rock or whatever. It's up to you to do it or not. You know what I mean? It's just a quick, I'm trying to eat as well. Just a quick example.
Yeah, what you said about keep your hopes up, like we hear that all the time. I would almost scratch out keep your hopes up, scratch out hopes, and put actions. Keep your actions up because your actions are actually going to help you make whatever you're hoping for actually happen. If you take no action on your what your hope, yeah, that's it. Hope that and hope for. That just reminded me. Hope that and hope for are both negatives, I think. Anyway, yeah, keep your actions up, I think, is probably key.
I think it, I don't know. I think it be better to say your thoughts. Because, thoughts, I mean, actions, there's a lot of work. Whenever people hope for something, most likely they can achieve it through a lot of hard work. And sometimes it takes a lot more work than what people are willing to put into anything like that. So they just hope and then do a little bit. When it doesn't come to them or doesn't happen or whatever the case may be, it's, then they feel down and depressed, and which is exactly what I was talking about. But like me, I mean, I don't know if something's like a lot. I do a lot of work, but I mean, if something's too much or whatever, and it just looks to me like, you know what, if I just say no or don't do it or whatever, that'd be a whole hell of a lot easier, and I wouldn't be as stressed. So you know what, the hell with it. It's I start seeing it as not being worth it.
Hope is a good thing. Hoping for a good outcome in on a test, or hoping for the for your next paycheck to be a good one, depending on what you're doing or whatever. But like he said, the work to make that hope worthwhile is, important too. So just hoping for something, like the old saying goes, you can say wish in one hand and shit in the other. See which one fills up first. Same thing with hope. You can hope in one hand and shit in the other. If you're not willing to do the work, you're just asking for disappointment.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that. God, you took me back to my childhood. My mom used to say that shit to me every damn day. Wish in one hand, shit in the other. And, which would be uh, very so achievable right now, because after eating those damn jalapenos, I probably about another 20 minutes. I'd tell you what, that shit hand's going to be overflowing. Excuse me, but no. What I was going to say, dang it, what did you say? Just oh yeah, that was a very good example about a test. That's what I always did. I ever since I was younger, and in I don't know about high school, I started learning that having hope on something like that, or a girl that I wanted to date or whatever, and think about it. You're hoping like hell. You have all this. You just constantly think about it. Then all of a sudden she shoots you down, or your test is horrible, or which thankfully it didn't happen very much with me. But I learned that you know what. um, I always put my, what do you call it, my goals or whatever. I didn't think about it much. Of course, I studied, stuff like that. Didn't think about it much. I did the test, didn't think about it at all up until they handed it back to me. And that way I'm always surprised when I got a decent or a good, a good grade, you know, or that girl says yes, I'm always surprised. You know, I didn't try too hard. I didn't think about it too much. And that's kind of about how I live my life now. If something good happens, it's like, oh my God, really? Wow. Didn't know that was going to happen. You know, I got $20 more on my check than I thought, or $100, you know. I mean, that's how I've been going through life, and I'm a lot less stressful.
I'm seeing that you didn't have very high expectations. Like when you lower your expectations of others and things happening, when they do happen, it's like a bonus. Like straight up, what's happening to you is you're getting a bonus because you don't have these high expectations. If you had high expectations for your paycheck, and they would always come in too low, and you'd always be bummed out. But it's really nice that you've basically lowered your expectations to the point where it's like, if anything happens, it's going to be positive, you know? It's going to be great. It's going to be like a bonus. It's a cool way to live.
That's exactly right. Oh hell, man! I made an extra $40 on this one. I was only expecting, you know, 680. I've got 520 now, you know, or 520, 720 now. You know, I can afford a bottle of Jim Beam and a couple sodas. Let's go get shit faced. You know, whatever the case may be, or you know, or I can afford a full tank in my truck now instead of just half. Scrounging up for change for that 3/4 of a tank.
What's up, Ring of Fire? I'm waving at everyone.
What up, Brian? How you doing, brother? Hope you're having a good night. Waving back at you. Welcome back to the Ring of Fire.
Yeah. Hi. But yeah, no, Dave, when you were talking, that got me to thinking about when I used to work at the mall, and there was one day that I wasn't going to eat, and I was not like devastated, but I wasn't going to have lunch that night or that day because, well, I just didn't have the money, and I didn't have anything made up the night before or whatever for a sack lunch or anything like that. So I just figured, oh well. But as luck would have it, I was sweeping up the food court. Now, normally I wouldn't, you know, just take money. But I was sweeping up the food court, and next thing I know, I saw something on the floor that was of rectangular shape, and I got closer, and it was a $20 bill. And that was all it was. There was no wallet or ID or anything accompanying it. Speaking of which, my mom found a wallet with like $150 in it one time, and of course she handed that into the office. But if it was just money, I would imagine my mom would probably go ahead and like a $20 bill like I found. I was able to get lunch that night or that day. You know, I was, you know, it wasn't expected, but I was happy to get it. You know, but that was probably, I was in my 20s at that time. But yeah, I felt a little bit guilty because somebody lost $20, but you know, I felt kind of blessed because, hey, I was able to have a decent lunch. Nothing extravagant, of course, but decent.
Hello, Ring of Fire. How y'all doing today? It is 9:14. What's up, y'all?
What's up, man?
We having us a show here about hoping, wishing, and or, you know, should we be, you know, cutting on other people for their, you know, flaws and or pointing out other people's flaws when we ourselves are flawed? The short answer to that would be no, we should not.
Yeah, we're essentially having a discussion, a rather civilized discussion, I might say, between the optimist and the pessimist of this room, it seems.
It's too funny. Welcome, guys. Just having a program about we do every week on Tuesday nights from 6 p.m. Pacific. We're about midway, a little past midway. The topic of the night is: are our shoulds necessary? In other words, is it really necessary to should on other people, that they should be this way, they should be that way? You know, to have expectations essentially of others. Is it really necessary? I think the main point is that it causes a lot of suffering, our own suffering. Here's another quote I found today. I don't know, this one's from some website, thatonerule.com. It says, "We must be willing to see things as they are, rather than what we hope, wish, or expect them to be." Okay, untrusted users, do me a favor if you want to be trusted in. It looks like I don't have too much backup right now for moderators. I haven't been looking. Anyway, I'm just going to say this once. If you want to be a part of the Ring of Fire, go ahead and click on the Ring of Fire logo in your upper left by the Z, the Zello icon. Click on that logo and read the rules. Read a couple back to me or the moderators, and one of us will trust you in. Yeah, be happy to have you here.
Hi, Andrew. Yes, I had seen there was one guy trying to get trusted in. I was trying to talk to him, but he'd left before I could even get to him. So, yes. Like Andrew said, any untrusted users want to get in. I have an iPhone, so it might take me a bit to get to you. Be patient. And before you mic up, go ahead and read those rules and we'll get you trusted in. Thank you very much.
iPhone is not good.
David, are you talking through water again?
Wills, can I add you?
What up, Tony? I see you waving.
So I think the main thing we can do tonight is share people in our lives. We don't have to name names, but just people in our lives that basically are doing things different than what we would expect, annoying us, maybe pissing us off in one way or another, and starting there. Like, where are we coming from? I mean, we're suffering from that because they're annoying us, but we wish that they were something different than what they are. We wish they would stop doing X, Y, Z. Maybe we can just shout out and say like how, you know, somebody's bothering us or whatever, and then we can work from there, you know, on this one. It's kind of a hard one, but yeah, just how is someone bothering you? Think about the difficult people in your life or person. Hopefully you only have one. But there are some difficult people in our lives sometimes. And maybe we can start there.
Hey, Ryan, can I add you?
Yep, go for it. Whoever wants to add me, feel free.
Going back to what Andrew just said, yes. There's one person in my life that, as of recently, she's a really good friend, and she'll take the shirt right off her back just to help people out. Great, but she has this. Her personality is so that she has to always be right, especially when it comes to religion or politics. And there is a other friend of mine who cannot hang out with us when this other person is not or is with us, because he chooses not to listen to her always have to be right about politics and or religion. And, he's pissed because he would like to hang out with us. But in the same token, he's not going to sit there and listen to her get all high and mighty about her beliefs. I feel bad because I would like to hang out with him more on these, group things that we like to do. And, well, I'm trying to figure out how I can make him feel more at ease and also not hurt this other lady's feelings. So, yeah.
Big question of the night. Have either of them expressed their expectations of the other? I know this seems crazy and it seems like the hardest thing you could possibly do, but think of how much relief you could get, people could get, if they just had the courage to communicate how others are disappointing them, how others are bothering them. Dave and I were talking about earlier how people tend to just hold that stuff in, and people disappoint them. People disappoint them. People disappoint them. People disappoint them, and people piss them off. And people piss them off, and they don't want to speak up for whatever reason. They don't want to speak up. Maybe it's the boss or whatever. And then when they end up speaking up, it's when they're blowing up, and it comes off like whatever they're saying is not heard because it's spoken in a very angry tone of voice, and it just comes off as you're just blowing up. So I think the main question is like, falling back to your friends, have either of them communicated what it is that bothers each other about each other? Once it's communicated and it's out on the table, at least then each person can compromise and be civil. But right now, they're not being civil, and it's affecting your whole group. It's not cool.
Actually, Andrew, the male party of this dispute has tried to voice his opinions. She then takes it totally out of context and blows up at him, and he basically said he's done. So, she does this with a lot of different situations. I have tried talking to her about certain things, and having a discussion with her, and her lack of knowledge on said topic. She doesn't like to be wrong, so she makes up her own little version of it, and that's how she compensates for her lack of knowledge. The real sad part of it is she doesn't recognize that that's exactly what she's doing. So, and we've tried explaining this to her, but she is unfortunately not intellectually intelligent enough to recognize that in herself. Although she is very intelligent, just not in that area. And she does not recognize her own flaws, even when they're pointed right out to her in plain sight. So, but anyway, that is just frustrating in itself.
Okay, untrusted users. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, just go ahead and click on the logo, Ring of Fire logo in the upper left. It's right below the Z for the app. Yeah, read the rules on that page and just go ahead and mic back up, and only the moderators can hear you now. Well, we'll be able to hear you until we trust you in. So just mic up and read back a couple of the rules that you remember, and we're happy to trust you in. Hope you're having a good night. Hope everybody's having a good night. Shit, this is kind of a difficult topic. So we're getting close to the end here. Hopefully we can bring up some other nourishing things before we finish up. Here's one by Dr. Steve Maraboli. He says, expectation feeds frustration. It is an unhealthy attachment to people, things, and outcomes we wish we could control, but don't.
Okay, everybody, we have a new guest, Zuzu. Welcome, sir. I didn't even finish listening to your recording, but it sounds like you understand the rules. So, welcome and enjoy the rest of the show. Andrew, you have the floor.
I would say everyone has the floor. Welcome, Zuzu. If this is your first time being in the Ring of Fire, which I'm assuming it is, I think you're going to like it here. A lot of cool people, respectful people, just like the rules state, people are cool here, straight up. I'm from LA. You probably already know this, but we're in the middle of a program. We'd be happy to hear your input on the topic. For those of you guys who showed up late, the topic is, are our shoulds necessary? AKA, are our expectations of others necessary? Really? Yeah, so the floor is yours if you guys have something to share. Any thoughts on this? Any people in your life you can bring out, you don't have to say their names, that you're shitting on, that are causing you some strain. This is probably the result of that. They're straining you because of this, more than likely.
Hey, Andrew, can I add you? Hi, everybody.
Well, I think with tonight's program, are our expectations of others necessary? I think that yes, they are entirely necessary, that you should expect certain things from certain people, like your parents to be caring and for your friends to generally want to know about you. It's things that us as human beings expect. And I'm going to leave on that note as I have to go to bed for school. I'm from Florida and it's 10:30 at night. This is Zuzu signing off for the night.
Okay, Zuzu, thanks for your input, brother. Have a good night. Welcome to the Ring of Fire. Hello, Bear. I think I saw, was it Care Bear? Crazy Bear. Hello, Crazy Bear. How's your night going? I don't know if you got it, but we're in the middle of a program. It'd be cool to have your input. Yeah. Generally finishing up the end of the program, another half hour or so. Welcome back.
Hey, Adrian, can I add you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I just told you, the one that's asking to add all the people, I just told you in your solo it would probably be best if you did not do that during the show. After the show would probably be the more appropriate time to do this, to ask to add people. So if you have nothing more to add to the conversation, just go ahead and quietly listen to what's going on until after the show. Otherwise, participate with the show, please. And thank you.
Does this resonate with anyone? We suffer when we think that someone should have done something differently in the past.
Right here. There's about a bazillion things I wish I could have done differently in the past. And there's definitely people that I wish, and I do express to some people, that they should have done something differently in the past. But, knowing that I am the only one who can control what I do in the present and future, that's a key thing, in your past. If you can think ahead to what you're doing in the present and or into your future, your past will be better. I don't know if that made any sense, but okay.
Let's try this again. But at the same time, you have to think of it like this too. Every misstep or quote unquote mistake you made in your past made you into the person you are now. So if you had changed something in your past, you might not be the person you are now. You might not have grown from that misstep.
Through that, it could have been, it made you stronger. Either something you didn't do or you did and you wish you had done differently. That situation could have made you stronger. So you'll never know. Basically embracing what happened and not arguing with the reality of what happened. You can't change it now, so why argue with it?
Yeah, that's true. And all you can do is learn from whatever you did in the past. The key is not dwelling on it. And I live in a place where that's pretty much their daily routine, is they dwell on the past. And I myself try not to. I've learned in my 37 years of life that, and having gone through this surgery and that surgery as a kid, there's no point in dwelling on the past. The past is the past. Learn from the past. Don't dwell on it.
Exactly, because if you dwell on your past, then you'll never progress. You'll never grow. You'll never learn anything, and you'll just continue to make the same mistakes you did.
Yeah, I've heard it as like, like don't bring the past into this moment and drop a bomb on it. Don't sabotage your current moment with what happened in the past, because a lot of times what happened in the past was specific to that situation. And by bringing that situation and that energy into your conversation or your situation right now, you are literally sabotaging that moment. You're basically trying to make it like the past moment, and that's like it's insanity. It's almost borderline insanity. So it's I've heard this. I heard this a while back, and I was like, oh, mind blown. I was like, right, that's what I've been doing. That's why this XYZ always happens the same way, because I keep bringing the past situation and expecting it to happen again, and it's not the same. You know, it's so important.
It really sucks when something really good happens in the past and something of equal goodness happens in the present, and you're like, but it doesn't happen just exactly like it did in the past. But it's still just appreciating the good. And if it's something in your past that's bad, then of course you gotta learn and try not to make that same mistake, which I struggle with all the time. I mean, my one thing that I keep trying to tell myself is I am not going to be overdrawn in my bank account. But again this month, I'm overdrawn. Why is that? Because I spent too much freaking money on Amazon, and my bills, they got covered, but at the expense of my overdrawn checking account. Yay me. And now I get to, oh, and I have a cable bill that I have to pay that I did not pay in full last month. So I have to pay the overdue balance plus this month's balance, and that will short me some cash as well. Aren't I special?
I was like, you're doing it and doing it and doing it well. Just don't learn. Don't don't repeat your past. Don't bring your past into your future. Learn from your past. I don't know, right? All good points here happening here.
Yeah, I just need to, the real kicker is I know what I have to do. It's just I've come up to the conclusion that I'm an Amazon addict, and I seriously need to stop buying shit on Amazon. Most of it I don't need anyway. And then I will be able to cover my bills and not have my bank account overdrawn. Oh my God, what a concept.
Imagine that, right? Imagine that. Or you could just pay yourself first, your bills first or something. I don't know. Sounds like you could use a good little personal finance course there, cowboy. I think that would be good for you. I took one in community college. Didn't cost that much. Might help in that regard. Thanks for the share, Chocolate. That's what you go by. Let's see. Maybe we could move on to here. Maybe this will resonate with you guys. We suffer when we expect our significant other should be something other than what they are.
Oh, yes. I was just going through this situation. I think it's a lot of the reason that a lot of people, when they first enter into a relationship, and even year 2, 3 years into it, they're still wearing this mask of what they think the other person wants. And when the mask falls away and the other person sees the real them, it's not even close to what they expected.
Yeah. Um, they expect them to be, they expect them to be this perfect person, or not even perfect, just what they want them to be, and then come to find out they're not that at all. And
Oh, yes. Been there, done that. I admit I have my own expectations of what I want in a relationship, but I'm actually coming to the conclusion these days that there is no such thing as the perfect mate, and I have to just be happy with what I mean, I'm not to say going to be settling, but I have to kind of, again, maybe lower my expectations just a little bit, Okay, somebody has a little problem with repeating themselves. And this is an example, real life example, that I have an interest in, but she likes to repeat herself over and over and over, or we'll be in a conversation and among other people, and we'll be having a conversation, and I'm hearing her, wow.
Shoot, Marcus, I hate to cut you off, but I'm not hearing anything. Is anyone else experiencing that? Not hearing Marcus anymore.
Okay, how about this? Are we, where did I get cut off at? Where did I lose everybody?
I heard you up until he cut you off. You're saying that she continuously repeats herself, or that y'all will be having a conversation and then you hear her, and that's the last thing I heard.
yeah, me too. I was listening, but yeah.
So, Andrew, I think it was on your end. Something glitched. But in any case, basically, yeah, she'd do that whole wow thing over and over and over and over again. And last night, of course, was the earliest incident. And I asked her, I said, why, it almost sounds like she's not paying attention to the conversation, or she herself is lost. And this happens quite frequently with her. And I like her, but I can't sometimes keep up with her when she does stuff like that. And I'm not cutting on her. She's a wonderful person. I just, myself, the way my mind works, I can't keep up with her and her little quirks in that way. But in a way, I have to, if I really like her and want to, I'm finding myself having to pick and choose my battles, what I let bother me and what I don't, and I guess doing that in all aspects of life is a good thing too, not just your relationships.
Yeah, that's what came up for me on that was, are you willing to communicate your expectations to her, or at least lower them? I think you mentioned lowering them was probably a good idea. But are you willing, are any of you, are any of us willing to communicate our expectations of others? Especially our significant other. Are we really, do we have the courage to finally communicate our expectations of them so that they no longer disappoint us, or at least so that they know what's what they're doing that bothers us, so that they might actually change. Imagine that. Change for us, if that's something they really want to do. If it's not something they really want to do, then maybe we should just move on.
Well, in my case, like I'm willing. If I tell you from the beginning, look, this is kind of what I expect or whatever, or not even what I expect. This is what I look for, and they're not willing to, you know, do what it takes to be with me, then I'm not going to push the issue. Um, but in which case, I will tell them, like, if they say, well, yes, I'm willing to look past that, I'm willing to work with you on that, but yeah, I'll do it. Don't get me wrong, because I'm just that kind of person.
But at the same time, it's loving someone beyond their quirks. My best way to say it is that other person is imperfectly perfect for you. The major issues, yes, you should discuss them and talk about them. But if they smack when they chew gum or something small, I mean, do you really want to fight about that?
Hey.
Hey. No, I'm kidding. No, the gum smacking is not something that one should, at least I don't think, should be, you know, starting a federal case over it, No, that's kind of petty and dumb, but right now I can't really come up with anything that would be worth doing. Actually I can. This going back to a friend or whatever. Okay. I had a situation where I was late to a dinner. And it was gonna be me, my girlfriend at the time. We're no longer together for this, in my mind, this very reason. But she proceeded to get upset with me at this party, and she proceeded to grab my wrist, spin me around, and spank my ass right out of the blue. And then proceeded to yell at me as the other ones, the one that was holding the dinner, were also yelling at me. And it turned out she was a follower. She followed the advice of the two people that said that I should maybe get a spanking. That doesn't happen in my book. If you're in a relationship with me, you're going to be your own person. You're going to have the intelligence to say, no, I'm not going to follow that advice. If it's, you're going to talk to me. That's my expectation of anybody. You're not going to sit there and haul off and spank my ass. I'm sorry, I'm not into that kind of kink, thanks. But the key there would be intelligence to make up your own mind as the right thing to do. That's just it right there.
Yeah, but Marcus, do you communicate that expectation to your new relationships? Or are you always disappointed when they fail to live up to that expectation? There is no excuse. If we're disappointed in someone else and they're annoying the heck out of us, and pissing us off for whatever reason, it falls completely on us. They're just being them. They're fluttering their wings, or they're, doing cartwheels, or whatever it is that they do. They're just being themselves. And then here we are trying to, expecting them to be something different and not communicating it to them. So, you know, our disappointment falls on us, unfortunately. And it's sad though, because it's, you know, and it's tough. I agree. It's tough to communicate that. It's really tough. But what's worse, you know, being disappointed by someone and them annoying the heck out of us. Let's say it's the smacking or whatever, they smack their lips or whatever it is that they do that annoys us day in and day out. What's worse, dealing with something like that, even though that's a small thing, that's just one example. And what's worse, dealing with that for the entire time that you're with them, possibly your whole entire life, and just dealing with it, even though it annoys the hell out of you, or just telling them from the get-go, hey, that thing you do with your lips or whatever when you're chewing your gum, that really annoys me. Like, can you maybe, is it possible for you to like not do that, or at least like when I'm around? You know, I mean, just being kind about it. You're not yelling at them after you're blowing up.
Okay, Andrew, you're going on and 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 on, and I got it. I get where you're going with that, and yes, I did in that particular instance tell this lady, and under no circumstances is she to ever repeat that, and she is to make up her own mind what, you know, although I was very understanding of her situation, because she herself is, you know, got some, I would say she's developmentally and or mentally challenged. Okay, she's not so much that she doesn't have a good personality and whatnot, and that's usually what I look for in a potential mate, but you know, she's more of a child, a 36-year-old child, but a child nonetheless. And she, what was I gonna say? I did tell her though, and I told her when we broke up, I said, I still want to be your friend, but guess what? I don't want to be a caretaker. I'm not gonna, you know, be daddy, okay? I'm not gonna be her daddy telling her she can't do this and she can't do that and blah blah blah. You know, but I'm not going to have her, you know, controlling me. And she's still, to this day, she likes to, when my phone rings, Mark, your phone's ringing. Mark, there's someone at the door. Mark, there's this. Mark, you should do that. I'm like, no, I'm 37 years old. I'll make up my own mind what I do, when I do it, and how I do it. Thank you very much. And I keep telling her that, you know, but I have to keep repeating myself because I know she's not all there mentally.
Now, in my case, I mean, when I look for a guy, like I tell him straight up, look, I want, you know, this, and this. Now, if I find something that, you know, I don't like about him once once we get together and once we, you know, like start living together, whatever, and I find something else that I don't like about him, whether it be, you know, something big like, you know, the fact that he doesn't clean up after himself or something like that, then yeah, I'll tell him, I'm like, look, clean up after yourself. But if it's something as little as like, you know, jingling keys when you're anxious about something or something like that, then I'll let that go. But it all depends on the situation. Um, like one of my relationships, I told him, you know, all I wanted was trust and all of this other stuff, and it just didn't turn out the way, you know, it didn't turn out the way that he thought that I meant it. Like he thought that I meant like trust means, you know, go out and do whatever you want to do. No.
Dude, Andrew, do you listen to, well, yeah, you probably do listen to a bunch of podcasts. There's one that I've been listening to. I believe it's episode 1 of The Hidden Brain. The host is Chakra's somebody or other. I can't remember his name right now, but anyway, it's an NPR podcast, and it's really good. It's all about switch tracking, and it sounds like where this discussion is going is kind of on that same topic. But yes, anyone who wants to get some very interesting info from a very interesting podcast, listen to The Hidden Brain. It's a good podcast.
Thanks, Marcus. Did you want to finish up K33? I forget your name. Not seeing it in front of me. I've got my PC is weird like that. It doesn't show me that nickname. Oh yes, Purple Rain Trust. Yeah, you have a good point. I think what you're saying is so important that we get our expectations out in the beginning. I recently read this audio, it was like an audio book, and it mentioned how important it is to sort. There's so many people in the world, and there's the right one is out there for us, but it's so important to sort. Let people know what our expectations of them are, and or what we expect to give in the relationship, what we expect to receive in the relationship, what we expect to give someone else in a relationship. And the biggest factor that I heard was, what are your deal breakers? Because if you don't get the deal breakers out in the beginning, and then they come up in the end, like 7 months into a relationship, you all of a sudden hit a deal breaker, how devastating it is 7 months in versus getting it out on the table the first, right from the get-go. And that's just straight up confidence. That's having the courage to express what your needs are, what you want in a relationship, you know? I feel like that's so essential.
Yeah, like the way I feel is this: like, you're not going to, as soon as you meet somebody, you're not going to find every flaw in that person right away. It's not going to happen. I don't care if you're with this person for 2 weeks. You're not going to find every single flaw and then tell him about it. So I mean, yeah, over time, if you're with him for 7 months, or her, or whoever, if you're with this person for 7 months and you find something, then at least come up with the courage to say something. Like for me, automatically, trust is key to me. Trust, loyalty, the respect part or whatever, and that type of thing. And I'll tell him that, like, this is what I expect first of all, and then and I'll ask him, etc., etc. But you're not going to find every flaw in a person at one point in time. You're not going to find it all in the same day you meet this person. Like, you go out to dinner and you ask him, like, hey, do you keep your house clean? No, ain't nobody going to ask nobody that question. No.
I actually did have a girlfriend. Well, she didn't come right out and ask me, but she walks right into my apartment at the time, not the one I'm living in now, but the other one years ago. She walks right in and says, "Oh my God, it's pigsty in here." I'm like, dude, seriously, that's what's bothering you? Okay. I'm a guy. Come on. I can't expect to have an immaculate apartment all the time. Although, if you were to ask my mother, oh, you would think this was her apartment, because every time she comes, it's, let's clean. I'm like, okay. But that's mom, and going on to relationships and whatnot. I had a thought that, and somebody had told me years ago, that getting into a relationship is very much like a job interview. You ask questions, you get questions asked of you. And yeah, any agreeing parties here, or am I just basically talking out of my ass?
I mean, yeah. If you have dinner at your house and your house is dirty, knowing that you're getting ready to have dinner with this chick and your house is dirty, common sense says, guy, clean up your house. If I walk into somebody's house and he's gonna cook me dinner and his kitchen looks like it's halfway, dishes not fucking clean and stuff like that, then I will kindly refuse. But that's just me.
Well, then I guess we don't want to go to my Uncle Dennis's. Cat hair is a condiment at his place. I at least have clean floors and tabletops, and dishes are usually clean. If not, they are clean. They might not be all put away in the cupboard, but they are clean in the dish drainer. So, you know, but that's just me. That's how my lifestyle is. I tend to be a little bit lazy like that. I will clean my dishes, but it might take a week or two before they make it to the cupboard.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel. No, I don't know how to feel about that. But yeah. I mean, that would probably be. Now I know, like, to ask a person, "Hey, is your house clean? Hey, is your kitchen clean? Is your bathroom clean?" uh,
Well, I was kind of picking on my uncle at that point, but yeah, no, I mean, I personally, I don't really have any place. If I'm gonna take a girl out to eat or do something, or even cook for them, I live in an apartment complex, and right now I've got a total of one table that is currently being used as a place to put papers and whatnot and so forth. It's a square table, very small, probably only 3 people at the most could sit at it. And, I mean, I usually just eat in my chair. Get in a reclining chair and just plop the plate right in front of me. I'm good. And, that's just the layout of my apartment. So I most commonly would probably end up taking said person out somewhere to Arby's. There's a really good steakhouse here in town that I could probably take them to or something, I don't know. Again, I'm also not the wealthiest person on the planet either. I live on a government check. So, yeah.
Marcus, you and I are in the same boat, buddy.
yeah, no. I mean, it's not always about the materialistic things. It's just, I don't know. It's, I don't know. It's kind of weird, I guess. It's kind of weird in the sense of the way other people feel about things. But yeah.
Hello, Jerry. What's up, brother? Yeah, seriously. Um, I don't know. I'm thinking that if you at least know your deal breakers from the beginning, you could just straight up say, "Hey, I just want to let you know I have a few deal breakers, just so we don't get going on this." And I think you could at least communicate with each other your deal breakers. Now, given you might come across something that they do that you didn't realize was a deal breaker, but after being with them for like, I don't know, 3 months or whatever it might be, you're like, ah, shit, this is really bothering me. This is definitely a deal breaker. I probably should communicate this. But at least I think from the beginning, we could at least do each other a favor and just communicate deal breakers. That way, at least we're not wasting our time and or our money going down a path that is eventually going to lead to a cliff. You know what I'm saying? So especially if we don't have a lot of money to spend on dates and all that. So I don't know. It's just a thought. I mean, again, the little things may be tolerable. We may learn to deal with them. But if they are truly something that bothers us, then they essentially are a deal breaker and ought to be communicated. Again, it's hard. I get it. But I think that, you know, to save ourselves a lot of suffering, we really need to have the courage to communicate those things with others, you know, as soon as we recognize it, you know, so we don't have to deal with that indefinitely, you know, like somebody at work or whatever that just annoys the heck crap out of us or whatever. You know, best to just get it over with and communicate your disappointment or your expectation now. I don't know. It just seems like a way out of a lot of suffering.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it like right away, you talk about it and try to come up with the best solution you can. Then down the road, you ain't got to worry about it down the road. And, you know, I mean, we do forget, you know, from like, say, 3 months ago, you know, we talked about this and, you know, we came up with that solution, remember? And stuff like that. You know, it takes two people to fight and argue, but it also takes two people to make good decisions. You know, like if two people.
Yeah, you cut off. I don't know what you said, but I just noticed that I have a lot of deal breakers. I just noticed I have like a lot of deal breakers. Yeah, just by sitting here for like 10 minutes, it's bad, but it's.
Well, as I was saying, for people that are on fixed incomes, you know, two people could sit down and say, okay, these are the things that'll cost money, and then these are the things that won't cost money. So, you know, you make a list of stuff that'll cost you money and stuff that won't, and there you go. You got a list, and you can always, you know, look at the list and say, you know, like if I had a girlfriend, she's like, hey, hon, you know, let's go take a walk. It's one of our lists, you know, that don't cost money, whatever. Go get 2 bottles of water. You know, they don't cost very much. So, you know, you got to compromise sometimes, you know, or you don't have to go buy water. You just fill it up, get a couple bottles, and take them with you. So it don't cost you anything really, as long as you're not paying the water bill.
Very true, Jerry. Very true indeed. Also, there's the fact of, you know, if you're in a potential situation where you could be in a relationship, you also, I would think, have to be very careful not to make a mile-long or 2-mile-long list of all these deal breakers. You know, pick out the really important ones, the ones that are going to devastate you, and hopefully that list is not too terribly long, because that in itself can be a deal breaker for that person. They can say, oh my God, this person's nuts. This person has way too many things that bug them. And they then don't want to have anything to do with that person. I've actually kind of sort of been in that situation too. And that sucks.
Yeah, but those two lists that I was mentioning, you ain't got to do it in, you know, a matter of hours or day, you know, or in a day. You know, you can take your time, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say about that.
Yes, very much. All good points, Marcus and Jerry. All good points. Trying to think what I was going to say about the, lost my train of thought.
Good morning, everyone. Hey, Andrew, Marcus, everybody else.
Mr. Sweet Officer, how are you doing? And yes, we're talking about relationships and lists of deal breakers, and I just made the point of, you make that list of deal breakers too long, and the other person might just say, forget it, bye-bye, see you later.
That's what it was, Marcus. Sorting. And by the way, hello, Sweeto. How you doing, brother? Hope life's been good to you. I haven't heard from you in a while here, so welcome back. Yeah, this whole idea of sorting, Marcus, is one of the reasons why we do have communicate our deal breakers, or why you would want to do that, your deal breakers and or your expectations, what you're willing to give, what you're willing to receive in a relationship from the get-go, is simply sorting. It sorts the people who are never really meant to be with you quicker. There's a lot of people in this world, and the chances of finding the one, if you're trying to make the one that you're with into that perfect person, is pretty slim. So, in this case, the communicating deal breakers is really just a method of sorting quicker, so that you can get to that one that you're actually really meant to be with, and who actually really does love you for who you are, exactly who you are. Neither of you are trying to make each other into that perfect person, which never works. I don't know. Sorting seems pretty important too, but just something that came to mind.
You just made me think of my uncle. I got many uncles, but the one I'm referring to now is he's a businessman. He's a commercial real estate agent, and he's very anal about a lot of things. He's married to a very nice lady who's not very anal about a lot of things, but in her own right, she is very, she's got her own thing that she does. But years ago, when they first were dating and not married yet, my dad made the observation that, okay, my uncle will tell her one thing and tell her she cannot do this and cannot do that and blah, blah, blah. And when he's not looking, he knows full well that she's going to do whatever the hell she wants, but he just needed to say that. And, when I was listening to that, I was thinking, well, this ain't going to last long. Well, it's been 20 years they've been married now. Maybe 10 years. I don't know for sure, but a very long time. And I was proven wrong, because I guess it works for them. She does whatever she wants, and he has to make his opinion known, but that's all it really amounts to. He just makes his opinion known, and she does whatever she wants, whether she takes his advice or not. So, and looking at a relationship in that respect is probably a good idea.
Yes, yes. My grandparents are like that. But like if you have a list and then your significant other's list is the same list, then that could work too. But I want somebody that's like the total opposite of me. I don't want anybody that's not that's like the same as me, but at the same time, some of the things that I would expect, I would want to be the same both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I go, like, when you go back to the cleaning thing, like, if I want the house to be clean, he should want the house to be clean, and we should both work together to clean the house, right?
I'm not into the whole, having a dirty house, but I'm not into having a immaculately spick and span house either. I'd like it to be kind of lived in, you know. But yeah, clean dishes. My Achilles heel when I was in this other place, before this place, was I'm not the greatest when it comes to going ahead and cleaning out my microwave. Not because I can't do it, but because I'm a lazy bastard. And the closest I get to cleaning my microwave out is taking the tray out, washing that bitch, and putting it back in. Actually wiping it down and doing all that. I kind of let that go for a little while before. Partly because, I do have a limited vision, and sometimes I don't see the dirt that's in there. So if I don't see it, it's not there. Same thing with vacuuming and stuff like that. However, I do my laundry on a fairly regular basis, which is a good thing. At least I walk out of the house with clean clothes. That's one thing that I do, and I don't mind doing it. Dishes and cleaning out the microwave are my two biggest things.
Hey, Marcus, Andrew. Well, I'm pretty good. Sorry, I was busy. That's interesting thing you're talking about.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's the only thing I can say to that. Yeah. I'm not saying like keep the house like exceptionally clean on a day-to-day basis, but yeah.
Sounds like that would bother you. It sounds like that would almost be a deal breaker. Oh, too funny. Um, Getting towards the end of this, maybe I'll just I could ask this final question and see what you guys' thoughts about this are. We talked about how the question, are our shoulds necessary? But this has mostly been about, are our shoulds of others or our expectations of others necessary? But what about for ourselves? Are our shoulds or our expectations of ourselves necessary?
I think in some degree, yes. If it's going to benefit us in the long run, yes, they are necessary. Um, However, do we listen to ourselves? That would be the biggest question. And are we going to listen to ourselves if we come up with something that we should do? Me, there's been many occasions where I should do something, but it doesn't get done because I just simply don't listen to myself. I say, oh, well, I should do this now, but I can do it later. And then later comes and it hasn't got done yet. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, of myself, mentally, my expectations. I mean, I have high expectations of myself. Do they always get done? No. Will they get done? Probably. Depends on what I expect myself to do at that certain time. Um, so the question is like, which expectations are you looking for? Like, as far as ourselves, are you looking for like a mental expectation or what?
That would be like expectations of ourselves to be be and do, anything, our goals, essentially, I personally feel like, maybe our expectations of others should be like either nil, gone, or at least very low, so at least they surprise us when they fulfill our expectations. But for ourselves, I think it should be fairly high. I mean, how else are we going to strive to be a better person or a better version of ourselves if we're not having fairly high expectations of ourselves? So I think the shoulds of ourselves ought to be there. And I feel like we should also forgive ourselves if we don't always meet our expectations of ourselves. And even I could even go so far as to say we should probably forgive others for not meeting our shoulds or our expectations. We, oddly enough, we're kind of forgiving ourselves.
Yes. Like for me personally, I expected myself to be, like right now, I was like 2 years ago at this point in time, I would have been still in school, going to college, getting my RN or whatever. But now I'm a CNA, I'm a home health nurse, so I'm comfortable with that. But and that's just something that I've always wanted to do. But as far as like my expectations of me, on a mental standpoint, I think I did fairly well for myself for the age that I am, and for the things that I've accomplished in my life. So I mean. It all depends on how you look at things and how you want to see your life in the future. Do you want to see yourself as, this fairly wealthy person, or do you just want to be, comfortable? And then you think about what is comfort. Comfort is like, do you want to be living the American dream, or what's so called the American dream, big house, family type stuff? And no, I don't want that. I just want to be comfortable. I just want, to know that when I come home, that I am good where I'm at. I'm stable, all my bills are paid and shit like that, whether it be with somebody or without.
That's interesting.
I agree. And actually, I have something to add to that. Yes, me personally, I would. I'm pure. I know this is a pure dream because I know it's probably not going to happen. But I keep saying that I would like to be out of public housing. I would like to have a house of my own, or be able to afford a regular, not regulated by HUD housing apartment or something like that. But given my financial situation and my disabilities, I know that's probably not going to be something that would be obtainable. So in that light, I am fine with where I'm at. I just sometimes, it happens to all of us. We get down on ourselves and we're like, damn it, why am I in this situation? Why can't I get out of it? But, then reality sets in and it's like, oh, well, okay. C'est la vie. Life goes on.
For so many years, well, I'm 21, so like for so many years, I said that to myself. I said, well, I have this fucking situation going on, but I won't amount to anything. And like I said, I'm a home health nurse. I'm doing what I wanted to do. I'm doing what most people wouldn't dream of doing in this situation. That, like, so in my personal viewpoint, like, if you really, really want it and you are willing to work for it, then yes, go for it. Why not? But, it all depends on how you look at things. It all depends on what you want to do as the person on this earth at this point in time. Um, but yeah.
You make a very good point there. You do indeed make a very good point, and I do. I guess I shouldn't. I say that I say life goes on, and I'm happy where I'm at, but I do also believe that like what you said, if I'm willing to do the work, then and I've been searching for something that I can do within my limitations that can help me get to that goal, but thus far I have failed in succeeding in finding that. And actually part of it is the I'm not trying to make excuses here, but every time I've tried talking to family about doing something like going back to school for something or other, because I was a special needs individual, went to special needs programs during high school and whatnot, they are all of the assumption that I am not college material. I am not able to go to any technical college. I'm able to go, I'm able to, get there and physically get to the class and whatever, but and maybe I'm even able to get the degree, but my dad's argument is, okay, you have this degree. Are you going to be employable? Or are you going to need somebody on your butt helping you along the way doing the job? And that's a question to him, anyway, that I haven't been able to definitively say, yes, Dad, I can do it, and I will be able to do it. Just because maybe it's because he's intimidating. Maybe it's because he's, I don't know. But I just haven't been able to give my dad a straight, definitive answer on that particular thing.
Well, maybe you should give yourself that answer. Don't answer to nobody else. If you know you can do it, then go for it. Why not? Yeah, like that's one thing that like really irritates me when people be like, "Oh, well, I have so many people put me down, so many people, telling me I can't do it, so many people doing this and so many people doing that. What about you? Like, what about what you want to do? If you want to go to school and you want to do what you want to do, then go for it. Don't answer to nobody. Like, you could tell them, oh, well, I want to do this. But if they say, well, I don't think you should do that, you should be like, well, it's not up to you what you think. I'm going to do it anyway, whether you like it or not. But, yeah, that kind of, I don't know.
All right, I want to chime in. I've been listening, guys. I like what you're saying, Miss, and I agree with you. Like me, I'm in the bicycle industry, bicycles. I did. My parents thought I was crazy. Why bicycles? I mean, I did my first race at 13. By 20, I did a few more races. My parents were on the edge of their seat, just watching me. And my dad said, "What are you doing? What is this going to do? At 12, 13, buying a bicycle for like $600, you must be crazy, out of your mind. What are you thinking?" So I got to say, the best thing is actually proving them wrong. You have a goal, you have a dream. If you can taste it, if you can dig deep enough within yourself and get it, then you got it, man. Just go for it. Just don't let no one hold you back. Just go.
Yeah, it made me think as well. There's this quote by Bruce Lee. He says, "I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to mine."
I got a quote that's been stuck in my head. I forgot exactly who said it, but I remember where I read it. And it goes something to the effect of, passion, it is what elevates a pastime into an obsession. So if you're actually passionate about something and you want to do it, go and do it and do it the best you can. Because, in the end, you're the one who's going to be happy for what you do and what you don't do.
Yeah, if you have the means, like I'm not saying, okay, you're on disability. Okay, I understand that. And you go to school, you can get financial aid, you can get a Pell Grant, it's so much you can get. It's so much more assistance that you can get. And that's where people mess up is they don't use the government for what they want to use the government for. They use it for, good unto them, which is fine, but I mean, why not just go for something that you know you want to do? Like, hey, if you want to go to technical school, don't let the fact that you were in special needs classes be your downfall. Like, don't let the fact that your dad is not living doesn't want you to live up to your expectations be your downfall. If you want it to be your downfall, if you want anything in this world to be your downfall, make make it be the fact that you didn't want to do it in the first place, not that everybody made you do it or that everybody, put you down to doing it.
Basically, if you just keep it to yourself and don't tell anybody, and when it comes time, when they say, "What are you doing?" It's like, well, you said I couldn't do it. Well, guess what? Did it, proved it, done. It's over with.
That's true. And Miss the one purple rain person. Yeah. You are a very intelligent lady. I love you to death. As an individual, not anything more, but you're cool. And you're very right.
Yeah, because with the person that's putting you down, why listen to it? I mean, you're an adult now, so do what adults do. You go to college, or you get financial aid and all that stuff.
Yeah, it reminds me of this movie with Will Smith. I don't know if you ever seen it, but he's playing on the basketball court with his kid, and the kid says, "Yeah, I want to be like Michael Jordan or something, right?" And the dad initially snaps at him and says, like, "You can't do that. Like, you're never gonna be that." And then he catches himself and he says, "Don't let anyone tell you you can't do something." And he says, "Even me," because his dad saying this. And man, that's powerful right there. And I like what Jerry says. Jerry, you hit it spot on. It's like we tend to communicate what we're going to do, our dreams, sometimes too much. Because if we communicate them to the wrong person, the people are just going to tell us we can't do it. There's a lot of people in our lives that try to tell us that we can't do something. And it's just really out of their own limitation or their own fear for us. They'll tell us we can't do something. But the reality of it is hell yeah, we can. And I agree with Jerry. Just do it. And then when they ask you, so how's it going? Oh, well, I just graduated from college. And they're like, wait, what? Or whatever it might have been. And let them be shocked and grateful and proud when you say you've done it, if you can keep it from them. Might be a different story in your case, Marcus. But yeah, man, more power to you. There was one other quote that I thought about when you were talking, and actually it's two quotes that I just even recently put together. They were so similar. I put them together, and they go like this. It's what we allow is what will continue. If we change nothing, nothing will change.
Exactly. Okay. So, number one, thank you. I mean, I try to give positivity where positivity is due. So yes, I appreciate the love. I appreciate it. And what else I was gonna say before I went into this one? You're talking about The Pursuit of Happiness. I've seen that movie so many times. Love that movie. Um, and yes, or you could use it as don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. That's my favorite quote. I love that quote. I use that quote on a daily basis.
Well, that's like just before I graduated from high school, up to a certain point, I had low level entry jobs. You know, being a busboy, stock boy, working at McDonald's, working at BK. Those were okay because it was a paycheck. Well, then I got into the real high levels of jobs. I mean, my last job, pretty much I was at a supervisor level job. I was a lieutenant. You know, my mom, I told my mom I just became a security officer. She's like, no, you didn't. I says, I'll tell you what, I'll come into my town. When I come into town, I will show you my badge. And she's like, you're not joking, are you? And it's like, no, I'm not joking. I went home about 2-3 days later, and she's like, where's your badge? And I showed it to her. She's like, holy shit, you did it. And I go, yeah. And pretty much I had my uniform with me. I put my uniform on, and she's like, damn.
I didn't hear all of what you said, but yeah, it so many negative people in this world and not enough positive people in this world. So many people telling people it can't be something and not enough people telling them to go for what they want to go for. Geez.
Straight up. I will always tell people they can do something. And if I think that they can't, I'll think about it. Like I have a buddy who's been deemed as special needs. I don't feel he is, but he's been deemed as special needs. And like I always kind of help him if it's something that's a little bit out of his reach based on his condition. I'll say, well, how would you be able to get that? You know, considering your condition, like I'll just tell it like it is. I'll try to at least, and try to help him like find a way to still do what he really wants to do given his condition. And that's it, man. I mean, I still think you should. I'm never going to talk someone out of being or doing what they really believe they can do. Like, you know, if that's their dream.
Okay, for me, yeah, like I'm really. It took me a long time to realize how strong of a person I really am. I'm not gonna get too far into it, but there was a time when I looked so far down on myself to where as though I felt like I couldn't do nothing. Like I felt like everything I did was a problem. Everything I did was for no reason. Up until I got my first job. I got my first job when I was 16, and then I worked that job for 2 years. Um, and then after that, I've never been without a job in the past 5 years that I've been working. I've never been without one. When I found one, and I didn't want to work for that one anymore. I looked for another one. You know, so many opportunities came my way. You would never, you know, hear like for me, um, and you know the things that I'm going through. I I can tell you, but you'll never hear me say, well, you know, um, what I was gonna say. But can't even remember.
Well, what you've said so far makes a lot of sense, and you seem to have a very good head on your shoulders. And for that fact alone, I'm letting you know I went ahead and added you to my contact list. If you would like to talk to me in the future at some point in time, go ahead and accept my request. If not, totally up to you. But yeah, you're cool.
Trying to say she'll never tell someone they can't do something.
Yeah, like yes, I will never tell somebody that, you know, they won't amount up to anything, they won't do this or they can't do that because I've done it. And I know if I can do it, anybody can do it. Given my circumstances, anybody can do it. Like, um, and don't get me wrong, like, to me, I'm the most fucking beautifulest person in this world. And not even to be on like a um conceited kind of level, but you know, after putting so much down on myself, you know, I became more positive. And but yeah, just go for what you want to go for and do what you want to do with your life. You only have one life to live, so live it.
All right, I think we are pushing way into almost 3 hours here. Does anyone have any final thoughts on this topic? Are our shoulds necessary? Basically, are our expectations necessary? Any final thoughts?
My final thought is I think expectations should be realistic and obtainable and realistic. I mean, yeah.
If you got the mind and heart and they both agree, there ain't nothing stopping you. I've been there and done it. That should go with every person out there.
All expectations are real, I guess. You know, all your should be looked at, and all your should not be looked at.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everyone, but Purple Rain is this whole the idea is that when we find ourselves shoulding on others or having expectations of others, that always leads to disappointment, and that should be looked at. Like she said, like it should definitely be. We should definitely be mindful enough to catch ourselves when we see that we're shooting on others. We have these expectations on it because it's going to inevitably lead to disappointment. And at least having the courage, loving ourselves really enough to communicate those expectations to others is huge. So I mean, like, I'm no angel in that regard. I still find myself having trouble with the idea that I'm going to someday and possibly often have to communicate some expectations of people just to relieve my own suffering. That I need to do this as a human being essentially is, I don't know. It's a challenge, but I think it's worth it in the end. I think it'll always be worth it because it's either that and get it out on the table quick and not suffer in the future, or suffer for a long time till you blow up. You know, hopefully you don't blow up. We don't want anyone blowing up, for sure, in any way, way, shape, or form.
Andrew, I'm gonna tell you, I find myself shoulding all the time with lots of friends. There's this one lady, we talk about different people around the building, but you know, I do follow it up with, you know, I am not perfect, and I have no room really to, as I'm talking to her, I say I have no room, and neither do you, to, you know, say what one person should be doing over the other, you know, in the situation. It's purely our opinions at that point in time. And 9 times out of 10, you know, I tell her, you know, if she has a problem with somebody, she has to go to that person and voice that opinion and or problem to that person, instead of sitting there and gossiping about it. And although in the building I live in, guess what? We have like a little gossip group that's all they do is, you know, gossip about other people. I've come to a conclusion in a place like where I'm living, because we're all pretty much in the same boat financially and physically and otherwise, you know, and in some cases mentally, um, we have no time on our hands. So what else is there to do but to sit there and should and gossip and this and that and the other thing, you know? It's sad, but true. You know, how can we fix that? For myself, I know I can avoid those people, but for them, I can't help them unless they choose to help themselves.
That sounds kind of interesting. I'm gonna quote a movie. I don't know if y'all seen, but Boondock Saints comes to mind when I hear this. You know, you got talkers and you got doers. It's a famous quote in the movie. And you know, do you just talk about stuff, or do you actually go out and do stuff about it? Because you know, when you do something, you know that's action being taken versus, you know, just talking about it, because talk is talk. Yes, talk has meaning and emotion behind it, but if you actually do something, I mean, it's something that shows action. That's all.
Sorry to cut you off, but I had to say something before I forget. Andrew, what you said, um, in my own perspective, and when I say in my own perspective, this is not, you know, for if you want to listen or not. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. But this is just me saying, you know, what I feel. Yes, you should say how you feel on the first date. Like if you feel like, you know, this person is just not right for you, or you have so many expectations of this person, and you know you have these expectations of this person, then
Sorry to cut you off there, Rain, but I don't know what the heck that noise is going on in the background. You're rubbing your phone on something. But no, it reminds me of that movie with Mark Wahlberg and The Rock called No Pain, I think. There's thinkers and doers. Oh yeah, that's a good movie.
So Jerry, what you're saying is your expectation of Purple Rain is that she fix whatever's making that noise that's bothering the heck out of you. Is that what you're trying to say?
obviously, but I'll stop. I don't know if it sounds any better now, but yeah. If you feel like this person or the person that you're trying to be with, if you have so many expectations of this person, you should tell her how you feel, just straight, like, you know, tenfold. And if she doesn't like it, then oh well. She just wasn't meant to be with you. She just wasn't. It just wasn't meant to be. If she looks at you with that look like, "Are you kidding me?" Then yeah, obviously she wasn't meant to be with you.
What's up, everyone? I'm saying hello. AK Double Twelve saying hello to you.
Hello, girly. Hello. I'm new to the channel, so hello.
Not 10-4, I am too. I just came in today.
Me too. How do you get a star in here? Because it seems like everybody wants to, like, everybody with a star wants to take everybody's button.
No, that's usually not the case, but you know, we're not perfect in here. What we need to do though is we need Jerry, this going out to you, buddy. I love you to death. You're a good guy, but you need to let people finish their sentences before you start chiming in. And I think we all need to do that. Even me. Sometimes. But yeah. And then maybe a few seconds of delay before we start chiming in.
What's up, Matt? How do I see you in here? How you doing?
Good point, Marcus. It's all good. Yeah, love you, Jerry. Yeah, this whole idea of if they're not meeting your expectation from the beginning, why strain yourself trying to turn them into that perfect person? You know, why waste all of your energy trying to change someone into the perfect person when you could be spending that energy finding the right person for you who meets all of your expectations, you know? I mean, I don't know. I guess that'd be my final thought is like, let's just, you know, let's have the courage and love ourselves enough to communicate the things that bother us. Or even better yet, at least like figure that shit out and maybe even write it down, like what bothers us in a relationship or has in the past, so that when we jump into something new, at least we have something to ask, you know? Some people just don't know and never wrote it down. Straight up, I haven't. I just intuitively know what I would ask, you know? The deal breakers.
Sorry to cut you off, Andrew, but just to let you know, she pretty much cut me off more than I cut her off. But I'm not here to fight and argue, so I'm just gonna sit back and relax. The show's almost done, so.
Well, I agree on the other guy what he was saying. Like I said, you know, if this person don't want to accept you or it don't want to be with you, then that person's not worth it. And that's how I see about it. You know, it's like me. I've been married for 9 years. 9 years going on 10 years, you know. And I accept everything with my husband and everything else. You know, he accepts what about me, you know. Before we got married, you know, we dated for maybe 2 years and then got married. We got to know each other before we end up getting married. You know what I'm saying? And whoever that person and that girl don't accept you, then she's not worth it. And that's how I see about that.
Yeah, it was the same way with me too. Before I got married was 2 years, and then I was pretty much married for like just about 10 years before she divorced me and stuff. So yeah, I was in the same boat.
Nah, 10 for that. I'm still married. I'm going on 10 years. 10 long years.
I just got one question for you. How in the world can you be a Cowboy fan? No, I'm kidding. I'm sitting here in Packerland, and yeah. Anyway, I'm just picking on you anyway.
No, I didn't say anybody cut me off. I never said anything like that. But I just said, how do you get a star, because everybody's getting cut off. Everybody interested. But yeah, I guess, just if you have an expectation and you want to tell this person about your expectations, then tell them, and don't be scared to tell them.
Oh, I've been a Dallas fan for a long time. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Never liked the Cincinnati Bengals, never had. But I've been a Dallas Cowboys since I've been a kid growing up. Now, my dad, he's a Cincinnati Bengals. We always have competitions back and forth. Who's going to win and who's going to go to the Super Bowl. That's just the way we were. 10-4.
Nice. And purple reindeer. Have a very good point there. But yeah, no, as far as getting a star here, basically I got my star just for hanging out here religiously for quite a while, and the owner got to know me quite well. And actually it didn't take too long. Basically, you got to be respectful.
Yeah, the owner's name is Serenity. Don't know for sure if I cut you off there, Marcus. Apologize if I did. Yeah, the owner's name is Cheryl Serenity. You can always just say, give her a shout out at some point. But I wouldn't ask to be a moderator. Just be cool. Be you. You seem like a great person that could be a moderator. And yeah, just be you, and it'll happen. Hang out here enough, it'll happen for sure.
Well, when I first came in here, okay, it was today sometime, and I got bounced out for no reason, and they ended up getting the wrong person. They did apologize to me, and when they found out I was a good person, that's when they let me in and gave me a star, and so far, not off the channel yet, so that's a good thing.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close it out, let you guys get into your open topic chat. First, I want to thank everyone who's got their ears on, who's been listening, who's commented, who's been a part of the conversation. It's been a long, very nourishing conversation, and I love you all for being you, for making that choice to be here. Again, you didn't have to be here. You could have done many other things with your time. But you chose this, so kudos to you, and I hope to see you guys back again soon. We're not going to be picking a topic tonight. I apologize, I don't have it for you right now, but the next time I mic up, I will give you guys the next two topics. We pre-chose them the week before. If you guys want to follow up with this program, we have it on YouTube. We've been recording it for quite a while to give other people access to the awesomeness that we all are in here. So if you want to do that, just go to YouTube and type in Our Healing Choices. Playlist should come up. You get a lot of the past episodes for that. If you want to check us out on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Our Healing Choices. You do a little shout out to Cheryl and the Ring of Fire. It's facebook.com/Ring of Fire chat. And yeah, if you guys want to be notified of the topic of the week within the hour of the topic of the program, you can always go to the Our Healing Choices channel here on Zello and add yourself. And I'm trying to get better at sending that call alert out every time. I've missed a couple. I apologize for that. But get in there, and eventually I want to not have to send out call alerts to each and every individual person on my contact list, which is very time consuming. So yeah, get yourself in there and add yourself, and you get notified from here on out. I'm going to commit to that. And that's it, guys. Thanks again for showing up. I'm going to open it up to regular